Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here today talking about Season 2, Episode 4 of the Apple TV sci-fi series Severance. The episode entitled Woe's Hollow. We open with Innie Irv waking up standing alone in the middle of a frozen lake. He calls out, and Mark appears on a nearby cliff top, telling Irv to follow the trail he found up to the top of the cliff. Turns out the Innies are on a team-building retreat to Woe's Hollow. We end with the revelation that we assumed was coming. Helly has been Helena for the entirety of Season 2. Irv threatens to drown her unless Milchick brings Helly back. She screams at Milchick to do so, calling him Seth. Milchick complies, bringing back Helly, whose last memory was being tackled while making a speech. So, jump straight to drowning in frigid pool. Very disorienting, I would assume. As a consequence of threatening to drown an Egan at Woe's Hollow, Irv is fired immediately. Milchick angrily tells him to start walking into the forest. Irv takes one last look at his friends, then walks away. Milchick gives the order, and Irv is changed back into his Audi. So the episode is framed by Innie Irv waking up alone and then metaphorically dying alone. This ending has major implications for the show's narrative, obviously. All that said, Paul.
Matt.
What'd you think of episode 4?
I was less satisfied this week.
Okay, interesting. I mean, the people are generally abuzz about this episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's like because
right.
I assume most of that buzz is around. Boy, we were cramped in an office for a long time, and now we get to be out in the woods. Yay!
Woohoo!
And maybe some of the Mark Helena shippers may have been happy. It was very tasteful there, but for me, part of the stumbling thing was like, boy, Irv, I don't know that it was such a natural thing, like who would have the power,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that, I feel like maybe that was more of a leap. Unless I need to look at that dream even closer, it's like...
Well, the dream definitely... Now, do people's dreams mean that they are convinced of something? Probably, not necessarily, but the dream definitely had an Egan reference to it. I can talk about that in a second.
Sure,
but I will say that at least the idea of, he says, who would have the power to force their Audis to be, on the severed floor? Now, would it have to be an Egan? I suppose not, but somebody that's connected. Anyway, yeah, I hear you. It was a little bit of a leap into she's an Egan! And just say it.
Yeah.
He might have said, is she an Egan?
Yeah, and also, too, while sure it's established that the Innies have a curiosity about the world, and I assume you watched the after...
I didn't see the after one for this one. So.
Well, all right. They, when they were talking about the sort of logic of it is, hey, you guys want to go out into the, into the world? We're going to put you out in the world.
Wait, you're saying that's what Lumen said to them at some point or something?
It's the rationale, sort of like, if you want to go out into the world, we put you out in the woods in the winter. It's like
make it as inhospitable as possible.
Comply. Yes, make you not feel like, boy, that's great. Maybe we should go out more often.
I do have a little question about the hows and whys of the whole setup of this thing, which we can talk about as well. But okay.
So so I'm not crazy about it. I mean, hopefully these animatronics. I'm hoping it's not an example of,
Are
Westworld.
they animatronics? God bless it. I don't. You're right. You're asking, but you're talking about the twins, right? So,
yes,
hey, your twins will lead you on the way.
Yeah. I mean, they move very robotically.
They do.
People have imagined that there's, the animatronic things that were referred to in the first episode.
Right. I'm just like, I'll say this: they're not dead ringers. like they only look like their counterparts from far away. The
right.
Dylan does not look like a Dylan. It's not. That's a facsimile. And it's interesting because it would be easy enough for the show just to have the actors pretend to be their doubles. So they didn't do that.
No.
So I don't know.
I didn't check the cast, but people are saying that the person playing Mark was the same one that was in the first episode.
Back in the mysterious person in the hallway.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I guess we don't have enough to go on just yet, but it might just be that Lumen, because this is all like this team building thing, and we're going to introduce you to the lore of Kier, and like maybe they use this notion of twins in their culture because they already have the idea of innies and outings, and I don't know, twins are almost built into Lumen. I'm still thinking it was like these are people that they had go and pretend to be their twins from a distance, but
even though they were out in the cold without like coats.
I mean, I don't. Okay, good call. I mean, they did act very slowly. I'm just like, would I be shocked if they were robots? No, but it does feel like a kind of turn for the show if they're just something like, oh yeah, by the way, you guys have just been missing them, but on the floor, following you all the time, are your robots? Like, are they? And they don't look like you. When I say you're robots, I mean they're generally your height and generally your facial hair. You're like, okay, I don't know what you get out of that. Anyway, so I don't know.
Like, what you're going to do is you're going to go and point someplace, and it's cold, but if you could point slowly.
No, I get it. It's just as weird if they're people as if they're robots. But
yes, exactly.
Somehow Lumen hiring a guy to dress up like Mark and then point slowly while that sounds like something they might do. Like, hey, we need you for the weekend.
Hey, is it more slow pointing? Because I love that. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Don't
perfect.
worry.
Awesome.
You're our number one slow pointing guy. If you got 3 friends, that'd be great.
And I will say, because the whole thing is about, it's the appendix from Kier's twin. Kier didn't have a twin. That's no twin. Kier put all of his perceived weaknesses, so to speak, into Dieter. And maybe that's how the idea of innies and outies even came out in the first place. That's what I'm going with.
I see, yeah. So it's
interesting. Nobody knew about Dieter. Yeah, because Dieter isn't a person.
It's some weird incel, any need for you to masturbate is actually your twin. That you can leave out in the woods.
Correct. Exactly. Look, this twin of mine represents all my base instincts, and then he became a tree or whatever happened to him. Anyway, the waterfall or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going with. I think that's exactly what this is Kier writing about. Like, how do I write about my weird urges if who's Dieter? Dieter had them. Anyway. But it is interesting that it's about a twin, and then you have the future of Egan Industries. Lumen is basically having these innies and outies. So there's maybe that's the inspiration for innies and outies.
Maybe
perhaps.
So, yeah. So I was, those little qualms there kind of, I thought, I still enjoyed it, but those kind of qualms kind of knocked it down a little for me. What did you think?
Okay. Now, I had issues with some of the things you're talking about and some of the hows and whys, but I did enjoyed it on its face. I liked the filming of it. I liked the quest they're on. It's all curated by Lumen. I mean, I'm sure it was not like, this book's been hanging out on this wall forever. Like, that's a thing that they bring out people from the company, I guess, to do this. Anyway, but like all that was interesting.
Too, they eventually got around to having Mark have a integration experience because I was a minute I was like, oh my God, is this just a bottle episode?
Yeah, it did. You're right. It felt like one until suddenly you're like, oh, this is not a bottle episode. Got it. Okay. But you're right. So he has this, when he has sex with Helena, he for a moment visualizes Gemma in that moment. And then the ending was even though we knew it was Helena, having her kind of admit it basically. Yeah. And then had the rest of the team realize that Irv was right the whole time was kind of an interest. I liked that little cathartic moment. And then having Irv, quote unquote, die. I mean, I don't think we've seen the end of any Irv, but I don't think he's coming back next episode. Like, I think they'll have him gone for a while, and then I think they'll bring him back at some point.
Why do you think they would bring him back? Why do you think Lumen would allow him to come back?
Well, the same reason that we talked last week, and you were like, hey, have we seen the end of Helly? And I'm like, she's too good a character. You're going to bring her back. And I feel like with Irv, it's kind of the same way. Irv's part of the team. You're in the middle of a season. It's a weird time to just be like, that character no longer exists, and he's gone. Because it's so easy not to have him gone. As long as the chip is still in Audi Irv's head, you could just flip the switch and turn him back on, right? I mean, like, I don't... Anyway, I'm just saying, I feel like they'll treat him like he's gone for a while, and then at some point, they'll bring him back. That's my thought.
Right. Yeah, you're certainly right. But one thing that people have said is that they're treating it like it's a death, and dramatically, you should be hesitant about undoing deaths.
I hear that.
So, the extent to which he actually tried to, well, he actively was trying to kill her, even though he's just using it as a ploy.
It's true. They had reason to be like, okay, maybe this guy's a psychopath or something. But here's a question. Okay, he said walk into the forest, and then he's, hey, now. He didn't have Irv walk that far into the forest. That means Audi Irv... what happened? Audi Irv's about to just suddenly get consciousness in the middle of the woods. Is he going to turn around and they're like, oh, no, you can't come back. Stop talking. Whatever. I don't know. Like, what happens to Audi Irv in this moment when he's lost in the woods?
Right. He's not that far from them. Yeah. So you'll see Audi Irv look at all these people that he doesn't recognize, I guess. I mean, either that or maybe...
Although he would recognize them because they were part of this group, right? He's going to know. I think he would probably know, at least by sight, Audi Mark.
Don't get distracted by the lies. It's like the statement that Helena made to the press about we did this or whatever, and how they went to everybody individually, and we don't seeing them beset by any media at all.
Yeah. No, it's a good point.
So Zach. Dylan, it's not like, oh, wait, I'm one of those famous people you heard about who, no.
So I would be interested to see if they pay that off. They may not. They might just, I think they're probably we're not going to see
it might be
Irv in any candid context for a while, is my guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible that, that we'll only see Audi Irv's story from this point. But I'm kind of more interested in what's their rationale for leaving Helly. It's sort of like, oh, okay, fine, but now you have to deal with Helena. I was like, would the group be like, sorry, we're not going to do anything until you send Helly back, like, or just Helly is just never going to leave? She will, like, I will never walk out the door so you can change me back. I mean,
Right, so you're saying, in other words, once Helena gets back in control, that she just may never let Helly back again, is what you're saying.
Right, yeah. So, what's
like
going to...
a temporary win.
Yeah, so they'll have a little bit of time in the cold where they can establish, because, it's sort of like I had to watch it. When I watched it again, I saw their little, special Zoom thing to indicate, yes, now we see, now Helly is there in the cold. But she doesn't say much. She's not like, hey, I'm really an Egan. It's sort of like they could say, are you an Egan? And ask her, but we haven't seen any of that yet. So how much longer is Helly going to be around is a big question I've got.
There's that weird moment. Weird. It's not that weird, but it's Irv giving his final farewells to his team, and he tells Dylan, hang in there.
Yeah, hang in there.
So that feels like it's a reference to the hang in there poster. There's the poster in the break room that we saw when they all got put together.
Yes.
It's a picture. It's a poster of Dylan trying to keep the overtime contingency buttons up. It's like, hang in there.
Yeah, apparently one of the things that happened during the writer's strike is that they wanted to put more things. They did a number of reshoots and things like that to sort of make sure that I think things that happened later were set up more.
Oh, you think maybe the hang in there is like a little, hey, look, ding, I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Because I feel like what we do see in a trailer coming up is what we now know to be Helly is inside Lumen, and she picks up a scrap of paper off the floor, and it's Irv's sketch of the
yeah.
It has some writing on the back. So I'm guessing that the hang in there poster, because I was wondering as I was thinking about this, I was like, wait, any Irv is gone, but any Irv just learned where the export hall is,
right?
And he apparently never told anybody. So it's kind of a weird plot thread left hanging, unless he left it, the sketch or something maybe behind the hang in there poster. That was his little final, like, go check behind the poster maybe. Because then once they understand where the export hall is, then that would obviously propel Mark to go and continue his search. You mentioned Irv's dream. So he has a dream where he also has the dream of Woe, so the little half bride that Keir mentioned. But the numbers on his screen, he's sitting down at his desk and he's doing the macro data stuff. The numbers on the screen at one point all become 1, 4, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
And if you assign numbers to the alphabet, so A equals 1, E equals 5, G equals 7, and then N would be 14.
Yeah.
Which is a 1 and a 4. So those letters spell out Egan. What you see later is as those numbers start turning into letters, they start turning into an E, an A, a G, and then it starts turning into a face. And so I believe, so I think the dream was telling him, this is an Egan. That was his.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Thanks. Oh, I did this with Dune Prophecy too, but every time a major character in Dune Prophecy had sex, I would be like, "There's gonna be a kid." But I'm kind of doing that here too. I'm like, just throw out the what if. What if Helena is now pregnant with the next Egan heir, and Mark is the father? And then obviously her dad is the fetid Muppet dad would not be keen on having an Egan born out of wedlock. It can introduce some very weird narrative possibilities if that's the case. It's like,
wow, Egan once visited a farm where the farmer had a daughter, and
so okay, let's do a little wheres and whys. Okay, do we know where this is happening other than it's Woe's Hollow? I guess you could make the argument maybe this is all in their head. I feel like it's probably not. I feel like it's probably a legit location. But that possibility exists because there's also why is this retreat happening? We don't see the lead up to this retreat. Sure. Hey, by the way, as a reward for working so hard on Cold Harbor, whatever, I don't know, you guys all get to go topside. Also, Irv doesn't have any idea what's going on. So any Irv when he shows up. So it's not like any Irv, if he'd been told, he might have been like, "Oh, this must be the retreat." But he's not. He's just like, "Where? What? Who? Hello?" So I feel like this happened without them being told it was going to happen. But then why would the Audis agree?
Yeah.
Why would Irv's Audi agree to go stand in this frozen lake?
Yeah. Now you.
What? Yeah. And also, you're going to be switched off for days and days. I forgot. I think they said maybe 4 days, but it's at least a long weekend where you guys
2 days. But yeah,
just 2. Okay. Anyway, we just haven't seen the Audi version of how this retreat came to be because they obviously had to go there or go somewhere and then get taken there. It's weird. Anyway, that's an oddity where I'm like, it would make more sense. Actually, okay, here's another part of that. Milchick, he says, remove the Glasgow block now.
Right.
When he's turning Helena back into Helly. This actually connects back to a list of commands that we saw in season 1. There's the list of commands for the innies, and one of them is Glasgow.
Right.
Which probably derives from the Glasgow coma scale, where you people on brain injuries, you determine their level of consciousness. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So in this case, the Glasgow block blocks the any personality in a severed area. Right? She said, remove the block. Assuming this is outdoors, does that mean Woe's Hollow is a severed area? Like, can they create severed zones out and about? Like, not just, I don't know if, anyway, just wondering on how wide-ranging can Lumen make their severance fields or whatever they call them? I don't know. Anyway, just throwing that out there. So it would almost be easier to rationalize to say, like, oh no, they were just hooked up to machines and they were still back on the Lumen floor. But it undermines the entire thing of it.
How is it different than the what do you call it there?
The overtime contingency?
Yeah, it's just that backwards.
Yeah, I guess. It's just the fact that it's a block. They were putting a block on it, meaning, like, if we'd done nothing, the innie would be here now. But because we blocked it, the outie's here. That's what I'm worried about. Like the default setting for this moment would be an innie. But no, it's an outie instead because we blocked the signal or whatever you want to call it.
Right. Interesting.
So, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. You would think that, okay, everybody, we're going to do this thing. And for three of them, they're like, okay, turn on their innies. And for Helena, they didn't do anything at all. And so why wouldn't they just turn
Correct.
Instead of this other thing? Maybe that's how they get Helly. Maybe it's more difficult to get Helena back.
Who knows? Yeah, you're right. I don't know. That's a good question. It's just that there are some, like, is this a plot hole? Or this show is thought through a lot of stuff. So I figure these aren't plot holes. These are just, like, questions they haven't decided to answer for us yet. So I'm eager to see how they, pull that off. I did like also, we continue to get these lies. You talk about the lies. This is the tallest waterfall in the world. Yeah. And they're just like, to the innies are like, oh God, you're right. They're just like why even say that? Why you don't have to.
Yeah. It's just one of those like, what'll be fun if we tell them this is the tallest waterfall in the world. It's just more like, we can just tell you anything we want.
It's just so easy to lie to you. Why, we don't care. It's like, damn. What was it? Miss Huang is playing a theremin. I'm like, all right.
Yes.
That's something you would learn at Lumen. That sounds like a Lumen type thing. Oh, I can play the piano. No, we want you to go and play the theremin in the woods. So that was great. Also, that face change that Helena makes, right? So she's trying to pretend to be Helly with Irv, and then Irv's like, "Look, it doesn't matter. It won't. You can just tell me, And then she just drops the facade. It's like, fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it very much. It does have some oddity, like, how does this fit into what we just saw last week?
Yeah.
And will this make sense? Will you? I also don't want him to spend, hours making this make sense. So I don't it's like careful what you wish for. Can you make this make sense and not waste a bunch of time doing it? That would be great. So we'll see how they pull that off. I do feel like eventually we'll get any Irv back, but to make this have the payoff pay off, we have to assume he's dead for some period of time. I don't know if that's even this season thing. Maybe it's at the very end of the season.
Right.
They make some concession to turn him back on or something. So yes, give us your theories out there. What give us the background for this retreat, and maybe give us your theories for what you see going forward as we hit the fifth episode, the midpoint of the season. So thanks everybody out there, and thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.